welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Jeff Keyzer, who's actually not Chris Gamble this week.
What?
Hi, Dave.
Hey, Jeff, where's Chris?
I don't know. I think he ran off to some kind of a job
That's right,
interviewing
a job
thing.
fair.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Are they called job fairs in the US? Is that what they're called?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Right. See, this is a foreign concept to us Aussies because we don't really have job fairs. So they actually set them up at the universities, do they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a big thing. I can remember during the dot-com boom at my university that all these big companies like Microsoft and it seemed like it was always mostly the software companies, but
okay.
They set up booths and they try to get young whippersnappers interested in their company. And it's really... I always felt like they come out there just to make a show of it because, they get thousands of resumes from interested, college students, but that only a fraction of a percent of those actually get anywhere, right?
Oh, of course. I mean, I was talking to Chris and he mentioned that they were actually going there to hire people, like on the spot, like over a dozen people or something. So,
wow. Well,
yeah,
that's great. That's great. I mean,
so
it's
is
great
that
for
common?
those people.
Is that like to actually hire somebody on the spot, or
certainly wasn't common whenever I was interviewing.
Right.
Maybe they just didn't think very highly of my qualifications. Yeah, it seems unusual to me, but I guess in today's world, it's a little bit different than it was back whenever I was doing the same thing.
Interesting. I mean, we don't really have those job fairs here. I mean, there are a couple, maybe a few token companies turn up, but as you said, they're just there to show off, really. They're not there to, hire, hundreds of people en masse for, steal all these graduates to, to actually work for cheap. And
I think usually you get the booth, and of course, the main thing that the university student is interested in is the free stuff.
Right, the giveaways. I think we've mentioned that on the show before.
Yeah, you get your little pen or your squishy ball or little LED, button or something like that. But
right.
Yeah, I feel like the main reason that these things happen is because human resources has some directive that they're supposed to be recruiting from some top universities, and then you end up with there's a couple sales guys usually, and then there's a couple engineers who got dragged along and they're being forced to stand out there. But
for an engineer, that's death.
Yeah, but I'm sure that Chris is entirely not like this, and his is a very well planned, carefully executed event that his employer is.
I'm sure,
Yeah.
And he said he's interviewing people. I think he tweeted that he has to ask people questions about C programming or something, and that's not his strong point. So he was a bit concerned in his tweet that someone would actually show him up and say, that's a stupid question.
Yeah, I can actually identify with that because I've had to interview before, and I don't like interviewing at all because I feel like you very rarely actually really get to see the true nature of the person that you're interviewing because they're so stressed out that how can they possibly present themselves in the same way that you'd see if you were actually working with them. But
exactly.
It's tough.
I've done it before. I actually enjoy interviewing.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, I do, because it's just I want to show up the smart asses, right, that lie on their resume. That's always fun. And B, I just love to see what the new graduates are like. I love interviewing new graduates. That's always fun. Are they a hobbyist? Are they just some dipshit who did it because their parents wanted them to, and they don't really know anything, and they don't care about the industry and all that sort of stuff. So
they still have all this fresh enthusiasm that hasn't been crushed by years of working in an engineering position.
Exactly, working in the land of Dilbert.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh boy. So how would you actually set yourself apart at those things, because everyone's a graduate, everyone's done the same course. I guess the only thing that would set you apart is your enthusiasm and stuff you've already done.
Yeah, I think
your hobby stuff.
That's right. And I think that relevant experience, like practical experience, is always a big winner, because if you're talking about university graduates, I mean, I've always felt like most of these guys and girls have very little actual experience doing any of the things that they've been learning about. And so I think that, if you want to set yourself apart, if you've done research as an undergraduate, that's always a big plus. If you've built something in your spare time and you're a hobbyist, then I know that if I was interviewing, that would really catch my eye. But if
they go straight to the top of my list. I'm very hesitant actually to hire anyone who doesn't have an active interest in electronics outside of work. I have occasionally, because they were the best pick out of the bunch, and we had to pick someone, but pretty much if you've got experience outside of work and an active interest, I'm going to pick you over even the more experienced guy, so pretty much. Unless I, found that you're a total dickhead or something like that, and I really didn't like you, then pretty much you're really going to get in there.
That's a very interesting strategy. I can't say that I've had that attitude. I really should bring that attitude, because I should be trying to help out the fellow hobbyist. I've always been so the kinds of positions I've been interviewing for have always been so hyper specialized that I've gotten wrapped up in do they know the exact subject material, and have they worked in that particular field. But I have to say that having interviewed a few people and selected a few and had helped people get jobs, sometimes the guys that have the most relevant experience, especially if it's on paper, aren't the guys that are going to really help you out whenever something goes wrong, or they're not going to be the best guys in the lab. They're not going to be the ones that actually are the problem solvers. And I think that there's definitely something to be said for if somebody's actually taking an interest outside of their, at the end of their 9 to 5, and they're doing hobby electronics at home. Obviously, they have some kind of a drive that's probably going to help them in their day job, right?
Oh, for sure. It's no contest. And you mentioned that you don't really get to know the real person in the interview, and I found that too. So I really like to cut them a break if they're really nervous and stuff like that. I mean, I often have like a set of preset questions I'll give them, and they're really dumbass questions. They're so simple that if you don't know these, well, you shouldn't even be in the industry. Almost basic op amp, building block stuff, things like that. So, but often they will choke on those. And if they choke, then that's okay, because I know they're nervous and you get mental blocks and all that sort of stuff. So one of my favorite things is to actually give them a board, right? Just a board that's got components on it, and ask them to tell me something about it, anything at all. And I'll guide them, tell me about the different footprints. Do you recognize any component footprints? Do you recognize any manufacturers? Things like that. So
that's really great.
Really, it's really an open-ended question. There's no right or wrong. So then they don't feel as nervous. That I have to get the right answer. And
that's a great idea. I like that a lot. Good people that understand hardware. That's a good. The guy that's got the hands-on experience. If you're looking for that kind of a person, then that's a big deal. And I'll have to use that. I'm going to steal your interview idea.
And it's actually a good question, particularly because it tests their manufacturing and component knowledge, which if you're, hiring a circuit designer who's going to do PCBs or working, taking the board through to manufacturing, it's important, if they can recognize that it's, reflow soldered and they got this packages and all that sort of stuff, then, it's actually quite important. So,
at my last company, we used to have this test that we would do to people, and you'd have these poor engineers. They wouldn't even know that this was going to happen to them. They'd go through part of the interview, and then we'd have our lab manager bring them into the lab and sit them down at a microscope and actually test their physical dexterity with tweezers and surface mount components. And we're not just talking like 0805s, but these were actually 01005s. So that's
pretty cool.
It was like a torture test, right? And you'd see if people could do it, and you'd have these guys that were, they were getting sweaty under the armpits, and they were just falling apart. That'd be shaking, and they couldn't do it. But I got to say that some people could come in and they could nail it. And it was really interesting to see what these guys would do under stress, and you'd have the guys that just have this natural ability to stay cool under pressure. And it's kind of an interesting way of looking at somebody. I always personally felt bad for the guys, though. I felt like that's not nice.
I think I would too. Yeah, that's pretty rough. I mean, especially when they're that small. I mean, I thought you were going to just say, 0402 or something like that, but...
that would be far too easy.
Right. Oh, goodness.
But on the other hand, that's the components that they were going to work with whenever they got a job, because we were working with 01005s. So
fair enough then.
That's just, I mean, if you can't do it, then you're going to be totally useless in the lab, right? So there is some wisdom to it.
Right. So they had no idea they were going to do that?
No.
Was that in like the job ad or the job spec?
No, well, they were applying for a position doing RF power amplifier design and doing multi-chip modules, and I'm pretty sure that the word multi-chip module was somewhere in there. Yeah, and most people that have worked in that industry know that there's a lot of delicate assembly, especially because it's RF, everything's very hands-on. There's a lot of time in the lab. So if you've got somebody who's applying for that position and isn't a lab rat, they're probably not the right person for that job. So in all fairness, it is a relevant skill for that particular job field. But, if he was just going to be like a software guy, that would not that would not be appropriate.
I don't think so. The first thing I would have said I would have said, well, what do you think about, what does multi-chip module imply to you? And if they got, really tiny stuff, I love working on tiny stuff, then boom,
put them in the next room. Yeah, then in they go. Yeah, that's right.
Oh, it's brilliant. I love it. So anyway, that's where Chris is.
I hope he's
this week,
having fun.
Apparently. So that's why he's not joining us.
Yeah, and I'm happy to substitute for him. So.
Well, thank you very much. I didn't thank you up front. Thanks for joining us. And it's Jeff from Mightyohm, a.k.a. Mightyohm. If you haven't checked out his blog, please do. Mightyohm.com.
Thanks for having me.
It's nice to be had. All right.
So should we do Workbench of the Week?
Well, I thought we'd jump into some news first. Breaking news.
Okay.
Breaking news. We've only got one news item. Jeri Ellsworth was thrown out of Designcon for wearing skates. Yes, you heard that right. She was actually... I went, why didn't somebody get a photo of this? Please. How many people were there? They must have known Jeri.
Yeah.
I can just picture them or wheeling her out.
I do find that interesting. On one hand, I feel bad for her that she got kicked out, but on the other hand, as somebody who knows Jeri, she probably deserved it.
Right. Okay. Right. See, I've never actually met her, whereas you've met her. So
she's not the type. She was looking for trouble.
Right. At Designcon. Yeah.
That's right.
What sort of trouble would you get into at Designcon? It boggles the mind.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, well, that's too bad. And maybe Designcon will put something in their rules for next year.
No skates. Maybe she'll turn up with like a CNI dog next time or something and get in there. But I'm on skates, but I've got a CNI dog. It's okay.
Or maybe a Segway or something like that.
A Segway, yes, something like that. Oh, but apparently she wore the skates for the first day and nobody hassled her. And then the second day of the thing, they tossed her out, wheeled her out, I guess.
Maybe she was talking shit about HP or something like that, and they got offended.
So maybe somebody did get offended. Somebody dobbed on her, obviously. Somebody went, that's not appropriate.
Right.
God, even if she was looking for trouble, I don't care. That's taking the fun out of it, really. Bunch of killjoys.
Yeah.
Don't like them.
Yeah.
But then again, I can imagine the trouble she could actually cause, because I've been to Designcon and it gets packed. It's crazy. So
I'd never even heard of Designcon before. Is that
okay.
weird that I've never even heard about it?
Oh, not really. No, I mean, there's a lot of people in the industry just don't give a shit about these sort of events, and there's quite a few of them. There's quite a lot of them. So not having heard about it. Well, I've got to admit, before I went, I'd only, heard about it in passing or something like that. So, yeah, I didn't really know much about it.
Is it for people that do PCB design or embedded design, or I mean,
it's embedded in PCB pretty much. That's that's kind of the focus, I guess. I think they had Intel there when I went. I can't remember exactly. So they had and all the microcontroller manufacturers are all there. Your Atmels, your Microchips, and your TIs, and all them. They're all there.
Sounds a lot like the Embedded Systems Conference. I've been to that one before. It
is very much like ESC. ESC is probably more embedded than Designcon, but I don't know how the two are very overlapping. So. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I'm not sure if they're run by the same company or not. I don't think they are. I think they're run by competing companies. Because if it was the same company running them, I don't think they'd probably run both, because they are very very similar. So, yes. But I've been to ESC and Designcon as well. They're the two shows I've been to in the US. Are there shows that you've been to or frequent?
Well, I used to go to ESC whenever I lived in the Bay Area because it was just right there.
Right.
And it was convenient, and I could rarely afford to actually pay my way in, so I would just go to the expo, which was a lot of fun. But
right.
I used to go to all the big RF conferences, like IMS is the International Microwave Symposium, and that was always fun because there were a lot of really cool toys that the exhibitors would bring. None of that test equipment is worth less than $100,000. It seems
I was
like.
going to say it's all six-digit stuff.
That's right. So it was kind of fun to see that. Although a lot of it is so hyper specialized that it's more fun to go to something like ESC because you actually see consumer electronics hardware, and the companies have more recognizable names in some cases. So it's kind of a different experience. But I'm not really much for conferences in general. I can enjoy the exhibitor stuff, but a lot of times the talks are just not. They're not that interesting to me. Maybe I'm just not very good at watching a talk and actually learning while somebody's up there showing slides. If I just get the proceedings, I'm usually pretty satisfied. Chris and I talked about that last week, I think it was, and I'm not a big fan of the talks either, unless it's somebody really interesting who I know and who I want to see live something like that. So a lot of them are just. It's just some guy that his manager told him he was supposed to talk on something, and
exactly.
He's up there and he's got a bunch of slides, and it's just not that interesting.
Yep, PowerPoint.
That's right.
PowerPoint slides, death by PowerPoint they call it. Yeah,
yeah.
In Dilbert world, yes. Yeah. It's especially if you can download it later, you usually can. So what's the point going? Especially some of them you have to pay to go to. So
they're always like thousands of dollars. They're not inexpensive, and if the company's paying it, then that's fine.
Matter,
but if you're paying your own way, it's impossible.
Yeah. Well, I've actually. Have you ever been on a trade show stand, as in man in the stand?
I
which is a very sexist term.
I have, and I ran away as fast as I possibly could, because as soon as people come up and they figure out that you designed the part that they're asking questions about, they will not leave you alone ever again. And the first rule is never, ever, ever give out your business card, because these guys will have a private line to your desk. And that's as an engineer, you want to hide in your cubicle, and you don't want to have any contact with the outside world, and especially with the customers, because the customers, they might have some questions that you don't know the answers to. Right, so you try to, or they may ask you about things. They may ask you about things that you're not supposed to talk about. So I've done it probably once or maybe twice, and it was always a very nervous kind of a thing. I was very uneasy with it.
Right. Okay. I was like the hardware guy on the stand, and so anyone who'd come in with the hardware questions, they'd be thrown over to me, which was most people, because they didn't care about how much the product cost or something like that. They just wanted to know some technical, detail or something like that. So they'd come over to me, and I actually enjoyed it. Rather, and I was handing out my business card and stuff like that, and I didn't get hassled, but I guess if you're, I guess you have to be really careful with that sort of thing.
Yeah, it's very intimidating. I found it very intimidating because, they come from a different perspective. They're actually using the product, and so they care about a different set of things than the engineer cares who's designing it. And it's, I found, I was always just very, I don't know, maybe I was just shy, but, these guys would come and sometimes they'd have questions and, it's like, I have no idea. Talk to applications about that. I just designed it. I don't know how to use it. What are you talking about?
I know. I always felt guilty about that. If I didn't know the answer, I feel bad, somebody's come up to me and they've asked me a question. I don't know the answer. It's like, and I've got to push them off to someone else because I hate it when somebody does that to me. So I feel really bad.
That's right. And that's exactly right, because they'd ask me questions about parts that I don't even know. It's like an engineer is not always totally familiar with the entire offering of his company's, every part that company makes, and that was always my weakness. They'd ask me something, blah blah blah, and I have no idea. You have to talk to somebody else about that, and I felt bad too because I felt like I should be representing the company. You know what I mean? And it's just, it's
absolutely
hard. It's really hard.
So there you go, boys and girls. Don't fall into the trap of going to the trade show. Or if you do, take the free trip and then just run.
That's right. Run just be unavailable.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sick. I've got to stay in my hotel room. Oh, I had some dodgy hotel food last night.
That's right.
Oh, goodness. Trade shows. Oh, they're fun.
Yeah.
But I can remember when I was a kid, they were actually quite expensive to go into, not just trade shows, because we hardly have any trade shows at all here in Sydney, or in Australia for that matter. But, I'd go into various other types of shows, and as a kid, they were very expensive. They might be $15, $20 to get in. I didn't have $15 or $20 to spend to get in, and I was a tight ass too. So what I'd do is actually sneak around the back, in the back alleyway or something of the entire conference centre, and then you would actually go in the service door. You'd actually have a box. You'd actually find a box. You'd pick one up and actually pretend that you're walking in and you're giving a delivery or something like that.
That's called,
and they just wave you through. So
yeah, that's called social engineering right there.
Social engineering,
that's
yeah.
Right. Very
so
good.
That's and then everyone's walking around with a badge, but I didn't have a badge, so I had to either try and hide it somehow that I kind of sort of had a badge, or I had to go pilfer one from somewhere. So to actually make it look like I belong there.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
That's when I was a kid. Memories. Anyway. We've been going for 23 minutes. We should get a workbench of the week.
Yeah.
I don't have the sound effect. Sorry, Chris is the sound effect.
Workbench of the week.
I can add some reverb there. Couldn't be bothered. Anyway, what do we got this week? Leftover from last week. Oh, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? Leftover is SnakeBite. I don't know his real name. His name is SnakeBite, and he's got some images of his shack. Let's call him up here. He says he doesn't have an oscilloscope because he hasn't can't afford one yet. So if anyone's got a spare oscilloscope they want to donate SnakeBite, he's on the forum. But it's a nice, tidy little bench. He's got a Fluke 87 there. He's got a hot air rework station from Pace, which is very nice. All the hand tools you need, and a power supply. What more do you want? And a bunch of hand tools.
Yeah, it looks great. I think he's got an isolation transformer, too. I think that's what that black box is on the left.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was actually shopping for one of those recently, and they're very expensive. And
how much are they going for these days?
Well, in U.S. dollars, it seemed like to get a decent one, it was up around $150 for something like just 150 watts or volt amps or whatever they measure them in. And I started looking for used ones, and used is expensive too. But not only that, but they weigh a ton, and so shipping is really expensive on them. So now I'm trying to score, something on eBay or something like that, because I'm a cheapskate. I don't want to spend money on it.
Right. And guess what he's got on his bench? Ta-da! A microcurrent adapter, one of my little kits.
Oh, I saw that.
There you go, the little red Jiffy box.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that he pretty much guaranteed a spot on Workbench of the Week.
I think he guaranteed his spot there with the microcurrent. Thanks, SnakeBite. Well done. I don't think he's in any of the photos, is he?
No.
I'm looking. No. Bit of a thumbs down there. You got to be in the photo.
Yeah.
But, no, that's all right. That's all right. So thanks, SnakeBite. Nice little setup you got there, and I hope you continue. It's a nice little... he's got one of those foam toolboxes, with the... the metal... the alloy briefcase kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's made little cutouts for all these little tools in there, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's really slick.
Yeah, I like that. He's gone to a bit of trouble there, and he's even cable ties have their own little cutout. Lovely. Magnificent. Should have room for a multi. There's no multi, or is that little pouch a little pocket multimeter or something? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Neat.
Yeah.
Very neat. Thanks, SnakeBite. And up next, we've got
Tony.
We've got Tony.
Tony, and I have to take full disclosure. I prompted Tony to submit this Workbench of the Week. So I've got to be honest with you, Tony. I've known Tony for a long time, and whenever I heard I was going to be on the show, I said, Tony, put your Workbench in there, and I'll be sure that you get on the show. But I think he's deserving, and if you take a look at his bench and his setup, I think he deserves to be on Workbench of the Week.
Oh, absolutely. He wins the award for this week, no doubt. It brings a tear to the eye, this one. It's really nice setup. You got to go to the links and have a look at this. He's got a wire bonding machine, for God's sake, because he's into the RF stuff.
That's right.
So, all that, he actually, God, who the hell has a wire bonding machine? I guess you can buy them for pittance on those auction.
Those old
auction, right?
Those old Westbond manual wedge bonders go. I've seen companies throw those away because they're
actually literally in the dumpster.
Literally in the dumpster because they're considered to be too primitive for you can't do anything reasonable these days with them. But if you're just doing hobby electronics at home, then having any wire bonder is much better than not having one.
Well, you've got to have a need for a wire bonder first. Well, if I bought one of those home, God, the wife would roll the eyes and...
Yeah, well, he's doing Mimic stuff at home, and he's bonding up his own chips, because a lot of those microwave chips you can only get in bare die. You can't get them in a package. Oh,
really? Okay.
That's right, because they're at 47 gigahertz or whatever he's working on. A package is... the parasitics kill you, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's real leading edge, awesome stuff.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he's got the HP, the 851 Spectrum Analyzer. Looks like it's right out of a Cold War movie or something like that.
Absolutely, like 1960s classic.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And he's got all the good stuff. He's got 10 and 24 gig radios. It's just magnificent. He's a bench meter fan. He's got I can see maybe 4 bench meters there.
That's right. And I don't think he's paid more than $20 for any one of those either. He's one of these guys
one of those items,
he goes to the surplus auctions and picks the stuff up for pennies on the dollar.
Yep. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. See, we don't have that here in Australia. It's very rare to get, to go to the auctions and be able to pick up a pallet load full of equipment like you can in the US. You guys just throw it out like it's confetti.
I think it's not totally true anymore. I think used to be more true, but I think eBay really killed a lot of that because now, why should a surplus company try to deal with the public whenever they can get much more exposure online? And so it's getting hard to find that stuff. But he goes to the Northrop Grumman swap meet out in Los Angeles, and that's probably one of the better swap meets in the country. So he's that's not a typical example. It's actually it's still kind of hard to find. Pretty rare. Stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. But yeah, I just drool over the stuff you guys can get, We can buy it on eBay, but we have to pay $500 shipping to get the damn things here because they weigh a fortune. They weigh a ton.
Yeah.
And it's just shipping's incredibly expensive. And with the surplus dealers on eBay, what they do is they're the ones who go in and buy a whole pallet load full of them. They typically, I've found, here in Australia, they aren't typically the people who are selling it. So these surplus companies out there will go and buy pallet loads full of stuff if a university is, shutting down their engineering section or a company's shutting down. They'll go in and buy the whole lot, and then they'll sell them one by one on eBay for, 50 times what they paid for them. So, well, good luck to them, I guess. But, it really does limit the market for people who are after, affordable gear. So, but still, even if you buy on eBay, you can pick up, a 1 gig, an old 1 gig scope or spectrum analyzer for a couple $100, which is just awesome.
That's right.
Oh, yep. And you can actually fully kit out like I said this before, like a $100,000 lab for $500. Easy, trivial. I guess I'm just jealous. What can I say?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
It takes years.
Anyway, thanks, Tony.
Yeah.
That's and he's in the photo too. And he's happy, smiling. Look at him. Awesome. Posing proudly with his latest project, which is what? A cryogenic thing?
A cryogenic filter, soon to become a cryogenic ham radio receiver. And I actually know a little bit about this. He bought a used cryo filter from a cell site. I guess these show up on eBay.
As you do.
And of course. And I guess these things have a Stirling heat pump inside that's capable of going down to liquid nitrogen temperatures. And this stuff, probably cost thousands and thousands of dollars. You get it
for sure.
Super cheap on eBay, and I guess he's trying to receive signals bounced off the moon for amateur radio, and so he's trying to super cool some receivers. So that's kind of an interesting project, and I know he's having trouble. Sure. He's having trouble getting the manufacturer to release the software specifications because they don't want to have anything to do with the fact that an ordinary person is trying to use these these very advanced technologies, and so I know that the company basically told him to go away.
Oh,
yeah. So it's really
Who
unfortunate.
Are they? We can name and shame them.
I think it's superconductor technology.
Mongrels.
Yeah. So I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to have to reverse engineer the whole thing.
Right. Oh, good luck.
Yeah.
Oh boy, but that's awesome. That's real engineering. That's real pushing the envelope kind of stuff. That just isn't wiring up a 555 timer or a Atmel microcontroller. That's, pretty serious stuff. So
yeah, and he's got the unfair advantage that this is also what he does for his day job. So it's not, it's not just like he's some guy doing this that hasn't ever had the experience. But
because there'd be so much trial and error in that sort of stuff, and you have to have the gear and know how to use it as well. It's not like you can wire up your 47 gigahertz, transceiver and just test it.
Yeah.
It's you've got the instruments to test it are bleeding edge.
Yeah.
It's just and it isn't just the instruments, but the actual probing to do it and the techniques to just the techniques alone take years to master. So really, it's through trial and error and experience and the rest of it. So yeah, my hat's certainly off to him.
So I had a question about something that I see here on the list. I'm just looking at the show notes, and you've got to explain to me what EE Web is. And I ask that because I've heard from them, I think twice this week. They're really trying to, get the links to their site, and they're trying to get me to, put the link on my page and talk about them and all this. And I looked at their site, and it looks like one big DigiKey advertisement.
Well, they do have DigiKey ads top and bottom, so presumably they've got sponsorship money from them. I'm sure they wouldn't do that for nothing.
So this is not like Element 14, though. DigiKey doesn't own EEWeb, right?
Oh, no. It's run by two guys. No, nothing. As far as I know, nothing to do with DigiKey at all. I'm sure they're just a paying sponsor, and they probably talked them into sponsoring the website. And so they've got a DigiKey search bar up the button and a DigiKey ad down the bottom. As far as I know, that's it. So just because I have to say it, they are an advertiser on my site. So if you see the little cartoon on my site, that links to them. Actually, I didn't add this to the list. Chris added it to the list. But I think it's a cool website.
Yeah, I took a look, and there's a lot of interesting information there, and they've got a lot of application notes, and it looks like there's a forum, and they've got the comic is actually pretty funny. I went back and looked at some of the old strips, and it looks like they're building kind of an interesting portal there. But I just thought it was interesting that this is sort of like DigiKey's answer to Element 14. Even though DigiKey doesn't own them, obviously DigiKey is probably perked up to the fact that these social networking engineering websites are coming about, and Newark Premier Farnell has Element 14, and I guess maybe DigiKey felt a little bit left out.
Right. Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. I'll have to actually ask them, but I'm sure it's just nothing more than an advertising thing. So because they actually pay. DigiKey actually pay big money to advertise. I know what the figures are.
Wow.
And advertise on various, in all the journals, on all the websites. They love to plaster their ads everywhere. So they're really keen to actually, have their ads on extremely popular websites, which I don't know how popular this one is yet. I don't think they've had it long. I think
it's been around for a few months, but it seems like they've been pushing it recently, and so I've seen it a couple places. But well, I wish them the best of luck, and it looks like an interesting site, and I am a fan of DigiKey. I use DigiKey all the time, so more power to them, and it's if they can find a way to work together, then that's great.
Yeah, well, they've got a featured engineers segment as well, and you will see my ugly mug on there shortly because they've asked me to be one of the featured engineers on their site. So there'll be a little blurb about me soon, I'm sure,
well,
if I get off my ass and actually actually do it.
Well,
now, the interesting thing I like about this site is that right on the front page, I mean, it's a bit busy is the buzzword. They've got a comic on there, they've got news items down one side, they've got quizzes, they've got site of the day, featured engineer. But down the right-hand side, they've got all links to all these really good articles, and they're always interesting. And they've got, like, circuits smack there on the front page, and I love sort of visiting there and just, seeing a circuit, there it is, or seeing a link to a really cool application note or something like that. So I think they've got that sort of concept right, but they are trying to do a lot of stuff. They've got a community. You can put your resume on there. You can post your projects on there. They're really trying to be a be-all, end-all portal. There's jobs, events. They're trying to do the whole lot, which is really hard to do.
Yeah.
When you try and bite off more than you can chew, I guess.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how the site grows, and it's very new, so I'm sure it'll take them a little while to, get everything ironed out. But it does look like a pretty slick site. It's definitely very well put together. Yeah.
Well, I'm just looking at the jobs tab here, and I'm browsing the US here, mainland US, and it's a nice little interface. They've got like the number of jobs over each state.
Yeah, I see that.
And if I click on those, it zooms in and yeah, there you go. And it shows it's all on Google Maps. TI, there you go. TI have a senior systems application engineer and a DSP algorithm engineer going.
Yeah.
And you can click HP, have an Intel an intellectual property licensing technologist. What the hell do they do?
So this is a good interface for people who hate commuting.
Right.
So they can zoom in and they can see, all right, so, this place is within 20 minutes of my house and, it's on the right freeway and all this stuff. But, I will say it's a cool, I'm just playing with it right now. It is a cool interface. It's very well put together. This is the first time I've seen it. Yeah, it's great.
And here's the senior analog IC designer at On Semiconductor. That's pretty neat. Wow, you don't get too many jobs for analog IC designers these days.
No.
Well, certainly not here in Australia. We don't get anything like that here.
This is great.
I like it. So well done, EE Web. Keep it up. All right, what else have we got?
Oh, let's see here.
Now, you posted something on here that this raised my eyebrows completely. They went bing. And when I saw this, where is it? You are doing stuff you're working on. And you mentioned that you are doing an autobiography or a biography of Forest Mims.
No, that's not it. No, I'm not writing it. I read an autobiography of Forest Mims.
Right.
I mean, think of it. How could I write an autobiography of Forest Mims?
Oh, well, no, that's why I changed it to biography. So I thought maybe you would, I don't know.
I am a fan.
Maybe a ghostwriter or something.
I am a fan of Forest Mims, but I'm definitely not qualified to write his biography.
Right.
No, he wrote an autobiography called Scylla Connections, and it's quite old, actually. The book, it was published in, I think, 1986, and so I just mentioned it because I was walking through the library a couple weeks ago, and there it was. I saw Forest Mims listed on the spine, and I'd never heard of it before, and so I picked it up and read through it, and it's actually pretty interesting. It's very, very dated, but it has his account of the founding of, I don't know if you say MITS or MITS.
We don't say MITS, we say MITS with Ed Roberts, which we talked about the other week.
So, he talks about the founding of the company and some of their early products. And it's actually kind of interesting because, talk about missing the boat. Forest Mims decided that he wanted to focus on technical writing instead of working with an electronics company. And so he actually left right as the Altair was being created.
Exactly.
And so, you can only think he's probably kicking himself if he had stock. Hopefully he benefited from the rise of MITS. But it's an interesting account from his perspective.
Yeah. Well, I've read somewhere that he actually wrote a couple of the manuals for the MITS. He was actually contracted back.
He did. He wrote a bunch of manuals, including a bunch for the TRS-80 also because of his Tandy Radio Shack connections. So he did a bunch of writing, and the book talks about that. But actually, one of the things that it also mentions that I had never heard of before is that Forest Mims had kind of a confrontation with Bell Labs.
Oh, do tell.
And so I guess at some point, Forrest came up with the idea of using LEDs as light emitters as well as light receivers, which is kind of a novel. It's a novel thing. It's using an LED as a light sensor is not something you'd normally think of. And I guess he went to Bell Labs with the idea because I think they had some kind of a program where if you were an inventor, you could submit an idea to them and they would protect it somehow. And I think if they used the idea, they would give you a cut and they'd give you some kind of compensation. Well, it turns out that 20 years later, Bell Labs came out with a product that used this technology and gave him absolutely no credit whatsoever.
Oh, really?
That's right.
Oh, lost in the annals of time. Did they? I wonder if they deliberately.
Well, that's his. If you read his side of the story, it's that they did, and so there was a lawsuit actually, and Forrest actually won. So he went up against Bell Labs, and he actually won, which I think is that's pretty noteworthy because Bell Labs, of course, was this enormous,
they're huge,
enormous entity. And so the book talks about the struggle that he went through, and it goes into detail about the details of the lawsuit. But it's an interesting read, and like I said, it feels a bit out of date now because it talks about the the influence that electronics have in our daily lives, which in 1986 was not very much.
Right.
It seemed like a lot at the time, but if he could have foreseen the internet and what computers have done now, it's interesting. But it's an interesting read. If anybody's interested in learning more about Forest Mims and all of his adventures, then I definitely would recommend it.
I'm going to have to get that one, definitely. That's something I'd be very interested, because I love biographies, and it's Forest Mims, for God's sake.
That's right.
I grew up with Forest Mims.
Yeah, he's a hero in the electronics world. Hobby electronics. I actually have my bookshelf. I have a whole section that's all Forest Mims. Getting started in electronics and the engineer's notebooks and all that stuff. And
engineer's notebooks, classic.
And some of those books I've had since I was just a few years old. That was my first exposure to electronics. Actually, was getting started in electronics. That was the first time I ever had seen how you wire an LED and a transistor. I'm sure a lot of people owe their beginnings in electronics to Forest Mims. So, it's
no doubt at all. So thanks, Forrest, for everything. It's awesome. I'm going to have to read that autobiography. I'm definitely going to look for that today. I wonder if you can get it on the Kindle store.
I don't know about that. That's a good question.
Yeah. No, I doubt it. I'll have to get a dusty old second-hand copy off eBay or something. I'm sure they're as rare as hen's teeth.
I don't know. I mean, Austin's library is not a huge library, and they had a copy.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You actually borrowed it from the library.
I borrowed it from the library. That's right. I was just walking down the aisle, and it caught my eye, and,
Fantastic. I'm sure the libraries here in Australia won't have it. That's almost a given. Tell us about, you're a bit annoyed, I guess not annoyed, but you've got a complaint about Eagle, how you spend so much time.
Yeah, one of the things, you guys are always talking about Eagle on the show, and I've heard you call it Freegle now, your campaign to...
Well, we started this campaign
that's right.
to free Eagle, because they're restrictive in the way they actually license the free version.
Yeah,
I think it's ridiculous.
I actually have a bone to pick with both of you and Chris, because I paid for Eagle.
Right.
You can't go and take something that I paid for and make it free, right? That'd be
that sucks the big one. It really does.
No, but in all
I'm sorry. What did Spock say? The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
In all honesty, if it were a free product, I'd love to see it become adopted at a wider level. But the thing that gets me is that Eagle comes with very few good footprints for parts, and it feels like I spend 80% of my time whenever I'm doing a layout creating the footprints for all the ICs, and especially if it's a new design that uses things that I haven't used in a previous design. I can't just reuse the footprints, and I feel like the guys that are using the professional quote unquote CAD packages like Altium. Those come with IPC footprints, right?
They do.
And so us guys with Eagle, we have to slave away and create footprints for everything. So I just feel like, there must be a better way to do this. And so I was Googling around and looking for a solution, and it looks like there is a project called the Open Symbol Project, which is trying to take IPCs, and I can't remember what IPC stands for. Is it...
yes, I do know it, mental block.
Is it like the International Packaging
Consortium
or something?
God, no, I don't know. Yep.
So anyway, IPC just has these guidelines that are widely used in the industry that specify, how big you should make the LAN pads for a QFN, whatever. And so there is a project to try to bring those standards into libraries for some of the common CAD projects, or packages rather. But I couldn't tell whether it was actually still in development. I'm not sure if that project is actually still alive or not.
Right.
But think of all the time that would save, not having to create footprints.
Yeah, but often it may not. Maybe for the hobby level stuff, the low level, but for the high end, it is not uncommon at all, even if you have Altium or some other package which has every IPC footprint in it, and it often doesn't, by the way, but even if it has an IPC generator in there to generate the footprints automatically, you're always making new footprints. It's an age-old problem, because a lot of companies actually won't use the IPC footprints. They will have company standards that say, no, we have to use the manufacturer's footprint and not the IPC footprint.
Oh, wow.
Or something like that. Or they'll have their own in-house company standards, or they will use the footprint that's actually given to them by their board loader. Because they're the ones who, have optimized that footprint for their particular machine.
Yeah.
Or something like that. So, yeah, there's this myth that the IPC footprints are the be-all, end-all, but they're not. I don't know any raw stats on it, but, I'm sure it's like half the board designers out there, even if they have access to the IPC libraries, may not use them. So...
you've just
it's
totally,
one of those things.
You've just totally rocked my world, Dave. Now I don't know what to believe.
Right. Well, no, I spend, I have Altium. It's all the IPC footprints, and I spend half my time doing bloody footprints. Why? Because all these new parts are coming out, these obscure packages that don't have that aren't in the library and whatnot, or
right.
It needs a thermal pad, or it doesn't need a thermal pad, or it needs something else, or you want to extend them out because you want some test probe points, or you want, you have to optimize it for this board loader. Ugh.
I feel like the footprints that the manufacturers give you, those are usually total crap.
Well, often they're not. The IPC, well, I found the opposite sometimes. Sometimes it can be, but I've found the opposite, that, well, the IPC ones are crap, and the manufacturer's ones are the ones that work with my particular board loader.
Wow.
So...
Interesting. Well...
Yeah, it's one of those toss-ups. You don't know whether or not to trust IPC or trust the board
I guess
loaders.
At the most fundamental level, you just have to find out what actually works in your process, and then, go from there.
It ultimately comes down to what works in your process. Yep. So that's why often companies, they will use whatever is actually recommended by their board loader, because they have no choice. That's the one that's guaranteed to give the highest reliability. Or you may be working on some ultra tiny board, where the IPC footprints just don't cut it. Because they're too big.
Well, they do have
the IPC foot. They do have different sizes. They have normal, medium, and large. Well, it's actually least, most, and normal.
That's right.
Amount of pad size.
That's right.
It's a bit confusing.
That's right.
Yeah, so they do have different sizes, but often those sizes don't cut it. So you have to do your own.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, it's a whole world unto itself.
Yeah.
Footprint engineering.
That's
it's
right.
not just picking the IPC footprints and going for it.
That's right.
If you've got plenty of room, if you've got, plenty of room and you don't really care and you're only manufacturing 100 or 1,000 of them, then, use the IPC footprints by all means. But, yeah, no, I spend half my time doing footprints as well. So you aren't alone.
Oh, that makes me feel so much better.
Excellent. Actually, I'm not sure if IPC actually have the formulas to generate the footprints, because Altium Designer actually has an IPC footprint generator. You type in the data from the data sheet and it generates the footprint for you to IPC standards.
There's actually a program out there, and it was by PCB Matrix. They had a LandPad calculator, and I think Mentor Graphics bought them out, and they killed that.
Yeah.
They actually killed the free one, and now I think you have to pay for it. And so I'm actually clutching onto my 2009, 2010 vintage release that still works, because if you're using Eagle, that's all you've got, and you don't have any other options really, unless you want to read the specs, and I'm not going to do that. So I actually went and for simple components like chip resistors and capacitors, there is actually a formula by which IPC arrives at the recommended values. And it's based on the geometry of the components as well as like statistical variations in placing accuracy. And I actually reverse engineered that and came up with my own spreadsheet that I can use. But that only works for chip resistors and capacitors. So as soon as I'm into, TQFPs and stuff, I'm back into the program that tells me, it gives me recommendations. And, the whole reason for this is really that the footprints that come with Eagle are almost useless. They're they're very, very terrible, and typically they're really big. It's pretty obvious that they're not. They're pretty far away from what you'd want for anything reasonable, and so that's what led me to look at the IPC stuff. And then but you're right. I mean, I end up creating probably almost 100% of my footprints by hand, pretty much. You know, it's all from IPC mixed with my own ideas about how things should be, you know, put together. And usually I do pretty well, but I just wish it didn't take so long.
Yeah, I know, it's tedious business, but it's the job of PCB design, really. You know, you've got to get those footprints right. And once you've done it for your generic components, like your 0805s and your passive components and your standard footprints, your SOT23s and your SO, 8 and SO16 and stuff like that, you're done, really. But there's always some obscure, I found always, every project I've worked on, there's some obscure chip I'm using that has some new footprint that's not in my library. It's not the size I want, and I've at least got to tweak it. So
interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. Or I want some different silkscreen outline on it. You know, just the act of doing that, because you want that silkscreen to be part of the component.
I agree with that, and that's something that pretty much guarantees that if I ever use someone else's footprint, I need to tear it apart and redo it anyway. Yeah.
Yep. So, so there is that holy grail of PCB design there as you never have to design a footprint, but I don't think anyone's ever going to get there.
Yeah.
For all but the most basic boards. I think if you're in the game long enough, you'll realise that, you've got to do your own footprint sooner or later. So, got to learn how to do it. We've got 5 minutes left.
Yikes. Where'd the time go?
Time for a what the segment, because we thought we'd have a, I won't add the naughty word on the end of it, but the WTF section. What the? What the frig section. Well, I've got one. It's somebody posted on the forum, I think it was the EEV blog forum, and ridiculous packaging. And you've got to see the photo. A photo tells 1,000 words, but I'll try and describe it. Somebody bought somebody ordered from HP, Hewlett-Packard. They ordered a power cord, just an IEC power cord. Pretty basic, you'd think. They just ship it in some sort of express satchel or something like
Sure,
that. No,
yeah.
This is in a box, in a proper HP box with the paperwork, and then that box is put inside this massive box, which then is shrink-wrapped all around the outside, and then it's mounted, this huge box is mounted on a pallet. It's just ridiculous. So they shipped an entire pallet with the forklift and everything. They would have had to get the forklift in to lift up the pallet, put it on the back of the truck, and they would have charged them a fortune. And this box is empty except for this one tiny little power cord. And
wow.
Is that for real? I don't.
It almost seems like a
joke.
It almost seems like it can't be real.
Yeah.
But
I know.
The pictures are here, and there's like I'm looking at the post here, and there's several pages of responses to this, and the guy never fessed up that it was a hoax. So I got to believe it. I have to believe it. I've got to believe it too. Yeah.
And, well, because I've had, not quite this extreme, but I've had similar things. Element 14/Newark. It was actually Newark.
Yeah. Yeah.
They were famous for it. And I slagged them off once on my blog.
I have to say, and I wasn't going to name suppliers, but...
come on.
Newark,
tell me and I'll name them.
Newark Electronics. That's my job. I actually
Pissing people off.
I ordered a bunch of stuff from Newark about a year and a half ago, and I actually called them, and I berated their shipping department, basically, because each component was wrapped in its own padded envelope, and then each group of padded envelopes was like in another box that had packing material.
That's what mine was.
It was insane, and it was stuff that it didn't even matter. It was just like solder.
Yeah, I know. And I had like 2 surface mount resistors or something, and they had their own padded bag inside another padded bag inside another padded bag.
That's right. And they claimed that they would reduce the amount of packaging, but really it didn't do anything. It's just...
I had the same claim, so I don't know. I just boycotted them from then on. That's simply what I did. I just went, nah, screw you. I'm not ordering from you again. I told them as such, and well,
Well, if you want some real entertainment, order lithium batteries and have them shipped by air. and you will be amazed at the number of stickers and, at least in the U.S., the number of stickers and warnings and, you will die if you incinerate this package and, all of this stuff that's on these. That was the only other time that I really had one of these kind of experiences with excessive shipping. Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, in Australia here, you cannot ship a lithium battery via post.
Wow.
You cannot do it.
At all. You just can't do it. Even a little coin cell battery, which has no energy in it whatsoever. It's got naff all, it's not going to burst into flames. So this is bad news.
Or a little watch battery.
If you're making a kit, like if you're a kit maker, what do? You just tell people to find their own batteries?
They have to buy their own battery.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what you have to do if you want to obey the law. But yeah, they ask you all the time, especially if you tick the form. It's going overseas or something, and it's an electronic kit or an electronic product. If the word electronic is in there, they'll always ask you, do you have a lithium battery in there?
Wow.
No, sir. Wink, wink. And it's just ridiculous. But I used to work on a project for the military. It was a underwater sonar system. We had these huge high-energy lithium batteries in it. And, yeah, I know the paperwork that goes into trying to get those things shipped. And, whoa, boy, if these things shorted out, they would blow up. They had that much energy in them. They were phenomenal.
Wow.
And, it'd, start a fire on a plane and bring it down or something. So, yeah, they're very serious business, some of those batteries. So I can sort of understand the paranoia behind it all. But, yeah, once again, it's just a blanket thing they put on everything. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, anyway.
What can you do?
What can you do?
The US are famous for that, but I won't beat up the US today. Jeff is our lovely...
You want to make sure that I come back at some point.
Right, absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that.
And speaking of which, I think our amp hour's up, and we will have to invite you back next time, Jeff. Well, thank you very much for joining us and standing in for Chris, who's slacked out this time because he's on some junket somewhere in some city. I'm not sure where.
Yeah,
hey, Chris.
Well, yeah.
I'm sure he's listening.
He's listening after the fact. Yeah. But, well, thanks for having me, and as always, it was a lot of fun. So thanks for having me on the show.
It was indeed. Thank you very much, and appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time. And I'm going to be the one doing the editing this time, I think. So if the editing sucks and it sounds different to normal, well, yeah, blame me. Or blame Chris for not being here. So, and doing the editing. But I'll try my best anyway. So, thank you very much, Jeff, and thank you, everyone. See you next time.
All right, bye-bye.
That's a cut.